$100,000. And as you guys know, I've been telling you for a while that I think Bitcoin is the way to go. I think Bitcoin is going to be a strong asset in the near future. But Bitcoin is starting to wake up. That sleeping beast is on the move. And so you may want to take a look. I'm not telling you what to do, just not investing advice, but just the thought. I think Bitcoin is where the money resides in the future. Mr. Jan Jasmine, Luke Olivier, Lay, how are you? Darlene, no, it's not our holiday, at least not mine. Let's see, I see Montreal, Canada. Okay, so is that why your name sounds French, Luke? Let's see, Dorothy Van Buren out of Oakland, Rarick Thompson out of Kansas City, Kansas, Casey Mo, not KCK. Darlene, good morning. James B1 to you in Philadelphia. Yeah, Philadelphia is what is going on in Philadelphia, man? Y'all have those crazy shootings and everything. I actually I was going to grab something, but you know what? Forget it. We'll just go ahead and get started with what we have. All right. So here's what I want to do. First thing I want to do is I want to start off with this piece I read today on things that millionaires don't do. And I didn't get a chance to go through it in extreme detail, but what I'd like to do is maybe take a look at it and provide some context in it for you guys. How many of you want to be millionaires? Give me a yes. All the future millionaires in the building, raise your hand. I'm going to explain to you why it's very, very easy to become a millionaire. I will literally give you just a simple blueprint that won't make it hard. And it's not a bunch of BS. I have a doctorate in this stuff, so I know we've studied millionaires extensively, exactly what they do. And so it's like financial forensics or financial DNA of a millionaire / billionaire, et cetera. Now, I saw some of you ask, what's your real website? How do I find it? Here's a way to stay in touch with the real me and also to get benefits that will come to you for free on a regular basis. We created something called Dr. Boyce Profit Alerts, where once a week I will send you, a stock or some other information that will help you with your investing journey. All you have to do is text the word stock, STOCK, to 31996. In fact, take a second and do that real quick while we're just sitting here talking. Text the word stock to 31996, and when you text that number, what's going to happen is that you're going to get instantly a list of AI stocks that I'm invested in, that I believe are going to make money in the future. Tomorrow you will get the $5 a day investing plan. I'm going to send that to you directly, so you'll have that. That shows you how to create hundreds of thousands of dollars in assets within one generation for your family. Very easy to do. Anybody can do it of any income level. And then also I will send you my training, How to Make Money Without Working. And I'll just keep sending you stuff. I like to feed information. I think of myself almost like a chef that likes to cook food, and so like I'm like those chefs down in the bayou that just loves to feed everybody. So instead of feeding you food, I'm going to feed you knowledge, right? So these are not hip hop lyrics or anything like that. This is better than music. This is music to your ears, because it's money in your bank account, and that's my goal. I want to see you wealthy. I want to see you in a better position. I want to see you win, especially given that you're listening to me today on the holiday. I think that shows so much determination and discipline, and I just have so much appreciation and respect for you. If you are in that category like I was, of people that are trying to change generational curses, if you just don't want your kids to go through what you went through, just trust me when I tell you that this whole poverty thing, like, you don't have to stay broke your whole life. You don't have to be on the edge of financial insecurity. You don't have to have financial anxiety. That's not required. That's something that is kind of embedded in you. Like when we had the conversation about student loans, and I explained the infrastructural history of the student loan conversation, why the student loan crisis became what it was, and the structural factors, right? So by knowing the structural factors, it allows you to make individual decisions, or in finance, we call this idiosyncratic decision making. Idiosyncratic moves are moves that are specific to you. So you can make specific moves that are specific to you that will allow you to avoid some of the systematic issues, right? So if there's a big dinosaur and the dinosaur moves to the left and is big and slow, well, if I go where everybody else is going, and the bosses say everybody go to the left and step under the dinosaur's foot, then everybody's going to get crushed. But if I'm smart enough to think for myself, then I can go right and the dinosaur is going left. So that's how I look at the system. The system's like a big old dinosaur. It will crush you if you stand under its foot. And but so you have to have the courage to be an individual decision maker. So again, my goal is not to teach students. I want to teach teachers, because I need you to go back and talk to your relatives about these things so that we can make sure that the people we love are not in jeopardy. So just text the word stock, STOCK, to 31996. Text stock to 31996. Give me a yes if you've done that. If it's done, I want you to do it right now so that you will be connected, and that way you can be connected. Because I saw somebody said, how do I find your real site? Because I get scams and everywhere. You're right. I guess because what we're doing, it must be effective, because there's so many people out here scamming and pretending to be me, and I hate it. I can't stop it. The bots are everywhere. But that is really me on the text list. Text stock to 31996. Also, BoyceWatkins.com is where my website is. So like July 8th, in about 4 days, I'll be in Seattle doing a 4-day deep dive, 4-hour deep dive training, 4 hours. So if you'd like to join us in Seattle, that's also on BoyceWatkins.com. Okay, so let's jump in. I'm going to talk to you guys about millionaires. And there's this article on CNBC where they said they interviewed 233 millionaires. 233 millionaires in this sample, and here are 5 things they said they never waste money on. And I don't even know this list. I'm gonna read it and give you a natural reaction to whether or not I agree or disagree. I don't know. I'll give you context on it, right? Okay, so they said number 1 is processed and packaged food. Interesting. To prioritize their health, they stopped buying low-quality processed food and instead opted for organic or wholesome foods that did not have preservatives. They often sought out products that could be sourced to their place of origin. That's stupid. I mean, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that. I'm not saying don't get me wrong. You're right. They are trying to kill you. Just so you know, I mean, if you want to spin that into a wealth decision, that would make sense. It does make sense if someone does that, right? So I'm not saying that it wouldn't make sense to do it. I'm saying there's nothing about not buying processed food that would make you a millionaire. I know plenty of fat millionaires and billionaires, right? So let's, come on. This is like some sort of hippie agenda or something. I have no idea. But again, though, the processed food does kill you. It does give you cancer. Cancer's everywhere. We're dealing with it in our family pretty bad, and it's very devastating. And so I do agree in that sense that this is one of the dark sides of capitalism. Capitalism encourages corporations to pretty much sell you any crap that will allow them to make money. And unfortunately, this crap also kills you. So capitalism does little weird things like they'll sell you donuts in the front of the grocery store and then sell you the diabetes medication in the back of the grocery store, because they figure, look, we can make money from you when you're healthy and make money from you when you're sick. We just want to, we're gonna make money from you coming and going, right? Coming and going. And when I talk to you guys about how health is wealth, I'm not just saying that to pep you up or to give you some sort of momentum or pep talk. I'm saying it because it's true that a lot of wealthy people lose their wealth because they get super sick right before they die. And on your way out, they're just draining you like crazy from the medication, from the hospital visits, from to the nursing homes. And so proper estate planning is important to protect your wealth in that case. Also, taking care of your health is just a really important part of that. So keep taking care of your health, whatever exercise you're doing, just do a little bit more. I know I have. That's been my journey as well. All right, so let's keep going. Number 2, cheaply made products. Okay, they said they refuse to drop money on the latest fashion trends or inexpensive and poorly constructed furniture. Instead, many prefer to invest in timeless quality pieces for their wardrobe and home that were built to last. Often the cost was 2 or 3 times more than low quality clothing and furniture. I don't agree with that either. I think that there are lots of rich people who spend money on things that are not super high quality. Maybe they just say, I think that one thing about having money, though, is that it allows you to get what you want without thinking about the price. That's one thing I've noticed. I can say this as a guy who has money. It's not a secret that I'm a millionaire. I'm not bragging about it. I don't do flexes like that, but it'd be stupid for me to sit here and talk to you about money if I had none. One of the things I liked about money versus when I was poor versus when I was young and broke and struggling is I like the fact that I could do little things like I wanted to take my wife to the movies. Yesterday, I did my first airplane solo. Some of y'all know this, some of you don't. I did my first airplane solo, and it was a big deal for me. I've been working very hard for this, and I finally flew an airplane by myself, like took off, land, stayed in the pattern, did the radio calls, all that. And so to celebrate, my wife and I were going to go and go out to dinner or go to the movies. And what I like actually, what I noticed about kind of having having what you want, like living out your dream, like I look at the last 30 years, I don't have any regrets. Like I feel like I did everything I wanted to do, including marrying the woman in my dreams. Like literally my wife, if you'd asked me years ago, who's the prettiest woman, I would have said her. So I married the woman in my dreams. I'm happy with my career. I don't look back and say, oh gosh, I was so stupid. I had good advisors and I listened to them. But I can tell you the difference between having money and not having money is that it's the little things. It's like, being able to sleep in without anybody waking you up. It's like working around people that I actually want to be around. I like working with Black people. I don't like working with racist people. It's also being able to eat my favorite food whenever I want. And also going back to the money side, it's nice to be able to take my wife to the movies and to dinner and not care what the cost is, So and this is where marriage becomes a financial hack. People don't talk about this enough, but marriage is a huge financial hack because when my wife and I go out to dinner, we don't care who pays the bill. We don't argue about it like, oh, you ordered the extra lobster or you got a martini and that's bad. Like, no, we don't care. It's like we enjoy each other's company. She doesn't have expensive taste, neither do I. But when you do see something, you're like, ooh, that's really nice. Or, ooh, I like that nice hotel. Let's stay at that hotel. It's like you're not caught up in like, whether something is $82 or $70, but you at the same time, though, you can't be gluttonous and arrogant about money, because if you're gluttonous and arrogant with money, you become financially unconscious. And when you become financially unconscious, that's when you kind of lose it all. So I don't know if rich people only don't buy cheaply made products, but I do know rich people tend to have the ability to buy whatever they want. And that's true. Or they maybe buy things where they're thinking about the investment value as opposed to just using something. Well, the other thing that they said that rich people don't do, which this article is weird, major home or car repairs. In the same vein, many of the millionaires told me that given the option, they prefer to spend money on completely replacing things like old roofs, washing machines, dishwashers, refrigerators, furnaces, and even vehicles, rather than putting their hard-earned funds toward expensive repairs. That's also not true. We just put a crap ton of money in our car. Like that so rich people don't get their car fixed now. Like seriously, like who is this person? I mean, I'm not saying they didn't interview these people, but this article is sounding more and more stupid by the second. So maybe the benefit of us going through this article is I can kind of give you some context based on the research that I've seen. Yes, rich people do repair their homes. Yes, they do repair their cars. Now, the thought process that might shift, though, however, is that if you put money into a home repair, maybe a wealthy person, a wealth builder. I'm not going to say rich people, because wealth builders are simply rich people in training. That's what you are. So how many wealth builders we got in the building? How many wealth builders we have in the building? If you're a wealth builder, you're a rich person in training. It's just like a person who goes to the gym every day. You may not be thin, but you're a thin person in training. You're an athlete in training, right? So if you're a wealth builder, raise your hand, say yes if you're a wealth builder. So the way a wealth builder might think about a home repair would be maybe investing in things in your home that will increase the value. So, for example, I wanted a man cave in my house. I like nice basements, and so we had this basement. It wasn't finished, so I said, okay, let me just redo this whole basement, and let's get jiggy with it. Let's spend like idiots. On getting exactly what we want. And the reason I did that was not because I wanted to waste money, but because I knew that putting in this basement and making it nice was going to increase the value of the home by somewhere around double the amount of the investment. Right. So I get to, have the basement, enjoy the basement, and then sell the house for a whole lot more than we could have otherwise without the basement. So when I got everything, I got the nicest stuff that I wanted because I knew that the money was coming back. Now, if I was spending the money and giving it away, it would have been a different conversation. Another thing I can say is when you talk about, for example, car repairs, replacing a car versus fixing a car. We kind of do the opposite. When our car breaks down, we hold on to our old cars. We don't say, oh, the other car, that's so 2018. We have to get something that's 2023. No, when we bought our last car, it was a luxury car. We did do that. We splurged on that, but we got a 3-year-old luxury car because I wanted all of the froth in the pricing to drain out. If you buy a brand new car, the price is just padded big time because people like those brand new cars, and that value immediately just disintegrates as soon as you drive that sucker off the lot. So instead of getting the luxury car that we wanted that was brand new and paying this much, which we could have afforded, I said, no, I don't want to do that. I want to take that extra money, put it in the stock market. Let's go to the used side of this lot and see if we can find a car just as nice that's 3 years old. And that's what we did. So we saved a ton of money by doing that. Also, when we thought about, fixing our car versus replacing it, we're holding on to our cars. We pay them off quickly, so we don't have to pay a lot of interest, and then we just keep them. So I don't know what rich people they're talking to, but I don't know. They said also, they claim rich people don't spend money on outdoor tools and equipment. While some still enjoy doing outdoor work like mowing their lawn, weeding, landscaping, and trimming, the vast majority hired landscapers to take care of their outdoor upkeep. Now, I do agree with that. We do hire people to take care of our lawn and all that because I don't want to take that time. So that's a time trade-off. One of the things you'll notice as you emerge as a wealth builder, and some of you are already doing really well, and because I know some of your financial scenarios, some of you are multimillionaires, and some of you are actually billionaires and celebrities and everything else. I'm not going to put you on blast, but I know I've talked to a lot of you. And one thing I'll say is that when a person gets to a point where they're trying to do a lot of stuff, you find that your time is more valuable than your money. And I know that I will spend money in order to save time. So the way I think about business, and this is something you can train your children on, by the way, in our children's program, it's called Black Millionaires of Tomorrow. The website is blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. In the Black Millionaires of Tomorrow program, we train kids on a model that we call the STURDY model, STERDY. STURDY stands for teaching children how to make money the right way, the more efficient way, which is through learning systems, technology, entrepreneurship, relationships, and delegation. And then the Y maybe stands for youth. And then let's just say that. And basically what I mean by that is that if you become a wealth builder, you understand that you don't have to do everything by yourself. You learn how to delegate. I taught my wife how to delegate when I married her. I said, you're a hardworking Black woman. You're like all the other Black women I know who bust their butts, saving everybody, doing everything for everybody, got to do everything yourself, whatever, right? And I get that. I said, but you should delegate and let's go pay somebody to do some of the menial tasks in the house so you can spend your time doing the things you love and then also resting your soul and your body and your mind, right? So, and I would stand at the door like a bouncer, when my wife's taking an afternoon nap and the kids are like, Mom, where's mom? And I'm standing at the door, my arms folded, like Debo, like what you want? She busy now. You got to go. You come back at 5 o'clock, and that's because I wanted her mental health to be okay. And so what I encourage you is when you look for your spouse, look for somebody who cares about you enough to want you to have good mental health as you're pursuing the things that you're doing. Because if you pursue in wealth and make a lot of money and you're crazy and rattled and stressed and unhappy, then you're kind of defeating the purpose. You get to the point where you die an early death because you were working so hard trying to make money. Remember, there's always an easier way to do it. Learn how to think like a boss. Learn how to delegate. Number 5. Now, this is true. No, I'm going to give them this one. Lottery tickets. Woo, buddy. Lottery tickets should damn near be illegal because lottery tickets is basically the way the system robs poor people. Lottery tickets rob poor people because they feed them this false hope that you really have a chance to actually win. And they use all these psychological tricks to get you to spend money on these dang tickets. And it ends up being money down the drain. Most investors and wealth builders I know do not spend hardly any money on lottery tickets. I hate it. I don't like it. I don't know if the lottery should be illegal. And it doesn't mean that you don't have rich people that buy lottery tickets every now and then. But lottery tickets, it's just not a good use of your money. The odds of winning are just way, way, way too low. And one of the things that they used to do that I saw this as a financial trick they were playing on people. Because money is mindset. That's why we created the first ever Black financial therapy department in the Black Business School, where we work with the best Black therapists on the planet to understand the psychological barriers that keep us from building wealth. What is the poverty mentality? How do you deal with financial anxiety? How do you deal with financial stress, financial trauma? That's big in the Black community. That's why a lot of wealth doesn't get built. It's because people have financial trauma, and that manifests itself through various financial triggers. So you get triggered. Traumatic people tend to get triggered. So, for example, if you think about that guy in Chicago who got mad at the lady and decided to just punch her out like he was Muhammad Ali or something, which was absolutely terrible, horrible. he got triggered. He was a traumatized person who got triggered. In fact, there were probably two triggered people going back and forth with each other, as opposed to two people de-escalating a potential conflict. So it got really messy. Somebody gets killed, and somebody almost went to jail. So long story short, these triggers are really important. These psychological barriers are huge. And one thing that they did to poor people that I hated with the lottery ticket, I watched it happen. I literally remember being in the grocery store. Is what they'll do is, in some of the states, has this ever happened to anybody? Let me know if it's ever happened to you. But they would sell the ticket, and then they say, if you win, would you like the all cash option, the one-time payout, or would you like to get lifetime payments of $1,000 a week or whatever for life? Which would you want? And they asked them this question, and it was a bogus, stupid question, because the person ain't gonna win. They're not gonna win. But I watched the lady's eyes when he asked that question, and I saw her. She's kind of smirked, because literally it was like a little injection of dopamine. It was like, well, what if you win? And so she's like, oh gosh, I don't know. I mean, oh gosh, like think about it. Like imagine yourself winning the lottery. Does that make you kind of feel good? Like, does that kind of give you like I just thought about, I imagine like winning the lottery just now. And I felt like my stomach hurt a little bit. Now it doesn't hurt anymore, right? Because dopamine's a natural pain reliever. It gives you a little high, like a little bit of, it's like a little bit of cocaine or something, right? So they did that deliberately, not because they thought any of these people were going to actually win. One of them was going to win, but it's like 1 in a million. They did that because they want you to buy into the fantasy. That's what they were doing. That was a psychological technique. Their psychologists came up with that and said, if you ask people what you would do with the money, they're going to be more likely to want to buy more tickets, because in their mind, they're going to see it as real. My wife, who is a therapist, who's an expert on the subconscious mind, she said that your subconscious mind cannot distinguish between fantasy and reality. In fact, we were talking about Jonathan Majors, the actor. Anybody seen the stuff that he's in, where he's in trouble with the lady and stuff? Well, one of the things we discussed the other day, in addition to all the financial implications of Jonathan Majors being in trouble, was I said, if he plays a villain in movies, does that mean people are more likely to see him as a villain in real life? And she said, yeah, because your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between fantasy and reality. So what I want you to do is I want you to use that to your advantage. Here's a little subconscious mind trick you can do to make yourself more optimistic and more focused on your goals. I saw a guy who talked about this, where he said, when you're sleeping and you're deep in your subconscious, toward the end of your sleep, like right when you're about to wake up, when you're hovering between reality and subconscious, just feed yourself a lot of very positive messages. I am special. I am significant. I can accomplish anything. I am wealthy. I am good. I am whole. I am happy. My life is wonderful. I am a good person. I am a smart person. Like, feed yourself stuff like that. And what he said that does is it sinks into your subconscious mind. So the subconscious mind is huge in terms of spending and wealth building and all that. When they were trying to get more money out of American consumers to get them to become the financial addicts that they are now, they literally hired, they bought research from Sigmund Freud, one of the greatest one of the greatest psychologists on the planet. They bought Freud's research mainly so they could manipulate people on a subconscious level. So just make no mistake about it. They're constantly playing with your heads because they really want to get in your pocket. Don't let them do that. You got to be, so the opposite of being financially unconscious is financial consciousness. Financial consciousness means thinking through things, sort of talking it out, processing consciously. What am I doing with this money? Where's this money going? Who's going to get this money? Just like conscious eating. Well, where did this chicken come from? Is it organic or is it not? What's the farm that they made this chicken on, right? That very conscious movement. Even when you talk about consciously dating somebody, like, so tell me about yourself. Like, gosh, do you have any diseases? Like, I don't know. Let me, I don't think I want to sleep with you while I've been drinking. Let me go home and think about it for 2 or 3 days. People who think that way, who are conscious about their decisions, are less impulsive and they tend to make better decisions. So practice consciousness in the areas that matter to you. Like, I'm gonna tell you what, I've had a great exercise in consciousness by flying airplanes, because if you mess up and you slip up, bad things happen. People have died doing this. So I have to be very conscious. Every little thing I do, I got to go through a checklist. I got to make sure, okay, the flaps are down and the avionics are off and the blah, blah, blah. You got to check the mixture. Like, you have to do these things consciously if you want to be careful and you want to be smart. Okay. So I want you to be careful. I want you to be smart with your money. And I guarantee you that will put you on the path to being a millionaire. Now, some of you were asking again earlier. If you want to get the Dr. Boyce profit alerts sent to you, it's free for everyone. everybody, just right now, get on your phone, text the word stock to 31996. Text stock to 31996. I sent you guys a stock yesterday. I'll send one in a few more days. Also, the minute you get on the list, I'll send you the 8 AI stocks that I like. You'll also get the $5 a day investing plan in a couple of days. And then after that, you'll get the training on how to make money without working. So text the word stock to 31996. That's how we can stay connected. Okay. All right. So let's move on to the next topic, because this really got me going. I saw that Bitcoin is back in a major way. Bitcoin is doing, I love it. I love it when things happen the way I want them to, the way they're supposed to happen, And so Bitcoin has been something that I've been saying to you guys for a while that I believe is a good investment. I believe Bitcoin is going to do very, very well. I just, all the indicators I see, everything I see about supply and demand and the cost structure of Bitcoin, everything else is very optimistic. And now, again, I just have to keep saying, though, that there's no guarantees, right? So if we're wrong, we're wrong. It's like one of those things where people that don't understand investing don't understand that just because you understand the dynamics doesn't mean you get every prediction right. But I'm going to tell you, Bitcoin is looking real pretty right now. Let me see if I can find Bitcoin and put it up on the screen. Let's see here. The price of Bitcoin. The price of Bitcoin right now is about a little bit less than 31,000. And I'm going to share this on my screen so you can see the chart of what Bitcoin has been doing. It's been just a really beautiful investment lately. It's right now it's gone up 14% in the last month. That is a massive, massive increase. The last 6 months has gone up 83.94%. 83.94%. So if you were buying Bitcoin back when it was at that, $10, $15, $20,000 range, whatever, then you're making a ton of money. You go back a year, it's gone up 53% over the last 5 years. Look at this. Pay attention now. Look at this. This is why the investors that have the long view are the ones that win. If you have Bitcoin for the last 5 years, bought it, sat on it, didn't do anything with it, didn't freak out, didn't go crazy, didn't follow the fads and the trends, you made 395% in 5 short years. 5 years ain't that much. A lot of college students take 5 years to graduate. 5 years, that investment has gone up 400%. And it's, look how far down from its peak it is. Its peak is what, about 64,000. It's still in a slump. It's still in a slump. So even with the slump, you're killing it. You've literally 4x your money. A house, go buy a house, and I want you to imagine buying a house that's 100,000 and then having the house be worth 400,000 in 4 years, 5 years. It don't happen. Or a $300,000 house that's 1.2 million in 5 years. That does not happen. Bitcoin did that. Bitcoin 4x for you. And what I really like about this chart that I'm showing you guys is that it shows you that investing is a little bit like riding a wild bronco. There's a lot of drama. Prices go up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Oh my God, some panic. Oh my God, it's a crash. Oh my God, it's recession. What's going to happen? Right? You seeing all that drama, but sometimes the best investors are the ones who plug their ears and don't even listen to any of it. They don't listen to any of it. They just look at the long-term trend. They make an investment. They plant a seed. They wait 5 years, and then they check on the seed 5 years later. So an investor so sometimes ignorance can be bliss. In this particular case, the best investors in Bitcoin were the ones who said, okay, let me go get some Bitcoin. In 2018, they said, let me get some of this Bitcoin. It's $7,400, and I'm just going to hold it and just wait and see. And then 5 years later, they check their portfolio. What's that Bitcoin worth that I own? Let me see what's going on. Ooh, it's worth 31,000. They didn't see all of this. They didn't care about all of this. They were asleep during all of this. So sometimes you can sleep through the thunderstorm. If the thunderstorm scares you, then put some earplugs in and go to sleep. Don't get caught up in that, because if you get caught up in it, what it's going to do is it's going to make you an overactive investor. Overactive investors tend to do what we call churning. And when you churn a lot, you lose money. Give me a yes if you follow what I'm saying. Lots of churn typically leads to lots of burn. You burn through the cash flow. It's almost like dating. You know, they say people that are constantly looking for love, constantly looking for a relationship, constantly looking for somebody ain't gonna find nothing. You know, like that's kind of what it reminds me of, right? You know, but then when you kick back and you just focus on being yourself and living your best life and being happy by yourself, then suddenly a wonderful person walks into your life. Like that's how it's supposed to happen, right? Or it also makes me think about like clocks. You know, they say watch clocks don't move. So the more you watch the clock, the less it's going to look like the clock is moving. So what you do is you go focus on something else, and then you come back and you look at the clock later. And there's science behind this. They did a study with little children at Stanford University, and they did the marshmallow experiment. Give me a yes if you heard of the Stanford marshmallow experiment. How many of you have heard of the Stanford marshmallow experiment? Well, the Stanford marshmallow experiment was when they wanted to test children's ability to be patient and delay gratification. And so what they did was they gave them they put them in a room by themselves, and they had a table, a chair, a plate, and a marshmallow. And with these 5-year-old kids, they said, look, I got to go to my office and get something, but and the marshmallow will be there. You can eat the marshmallow now if you want, but if you can wait for 15 minutes till I come back, you'll get 3 marshmallows. So what they were basically doing was they were testing the kids as investors. They were testing to see if they were willing to sacrifice something now in order to have something later. Were they willing to sacrifice instant gratification for delayed gratification? And so what they did was they watched the children. They watched how they managed, right? They watched them through a hidden camera. And some of the kids, you know, they were like YOLO, and they just ate the marshmallow. And they were done. They didn't care. They couldn't wait. But then they had other kids that wanted to eat the marshmallow too, but they didn't. They'd sit there and they would find ways to occupy their mind so they wouldn't be thinking about the marshmallow. They would do what kids do. They'd be singing to themselves. They'd be looking around. They'd be spinning around in their chair, playing in the room, just letting the time go by so that they could wait until they got the big 3 marshmallow reward. And so what they did was they sorted the kids into 2 groups. They sorted the kids into the YOLO crowd, like instant gratification, gotta have it now, get it now. And they also had a group of students that were kids that were the delayed gratification group, the ones that waited for the 3 marshmallow reward. And what they found was that the children who were able to wait for the 3 marshmallows were far more successful as adults than the kids who could not delay gratification. Do you understand what I'm saying? Give me a yes if you understand the analogy here. So effectively, people who can delay gratification, who can just be patient and just kind of wait out the storm, don't get caught up in the drama, don't get caught up in the nonsense, and just let things grow naturally, those people tend to be wealthier long term. And this is a fact. And the reason I want to warn you about culture is because almost everything in your culture pushes for instant gratification. Social media is built all around manipulating your dopamine levels with all kinds of forms of instant gratification. Dating and relationships tend to work out poorly if you're a person who's constantly seeking instant gratification. Ooh, you look good. I think I'm gonna have sex with you, right? Whatever, right? Next thing you know, you got this, this baby mama or this baby daddy that you can't stand, and you don't know how it happened, right? Or even fitness. People that tend to be fit, that they're into delayed gratification. They'll work hard now so they can get the benefits later. People who aren't so fit have a tougher time doing that. So one of the things I can tell you is that I believe in this society, we push for instant gratification. We push for people to do things that feel good, as opposed to things that are going to make sure you are good. Even the way we parent children, you have some parents that claim that they love their kids by giving them whatever they want. And then because that feels good, your kid is smiling, they're telling you how wonderful you are. But then later on, that child doesn't have any discipline because you didn't have the fortitude to kind of challenge them in a lot of key areas, right? So ultimately, what I would say to you is that that with that Bitcoin example I just showed you, the people that could do delayed gratification, who could plant that seed, leave it alone, do something else, not even think about it, those are the people who are winning. And I believe that that's going to work going forward too. When I tell you these things, never ever think that it's too late. Stop that. Stop thinking, well, gosh, maybe it's too late for me to invest. Too late for that. People were thinking this in the 1970s. There were people in the 1970s that said, oh my God, the Dow has hit 1,000 points. Maybe it's too late. It won't go up any higher than that. And no, it's 1972. Come on, that's ridiculous to see right now, right? 50 years later, 1972 seems like ancient history. But there were people in 1972 who felt like they were living in some modern era where the opportunities from the 40s, 50s, and 30s or whatever would never come again, and that's not true. So again, same thing with you living in 2023. You're not living in some ultra super modern era. I know you got AI and you have computers and you have technology. Well, guess what? In the year 2083, there's probably somebody in 2083 right now watching this video and saying, wow, this is how those old-fashioned people did it back in the old days. That's literally what they're thinking. They're looking at me laughing. We think we're all hip and modern and cool, and we're not. We're old-fashioned. We're the great grandparents. And our Dow, we're looking at our Dow that's like 32,000 or whatever. Their Dow is 150,000, 200,000. Right. So they're saying, man, I wish I could go back to 2023 and buy a house. I wish I could go back to 2023 and buy stock. It's impossible now. Right. So never think that you're too late. You're not too late. Just take the lessons from the past and apply them for the future. And that will put you in a good financial situation. Kabish, make sense? Got it? Okay. So let me also kind of give you some more context on some other things that I saw in terms of the market. First off, it looks like the inflation issue has been resolved pretty well. I don't think inflation is the big bear anymore, which is good. Once they get the handle on inflation, the Fed will hopefully stop in increasing interest rates and maybe even decrease rates again. That'll be a good thing. I talked to you guys earlier this morning about the housing market. The housing market has had some trouble because now it's funny, when they increased interest rates, it reduced the demand for houses to some extent. People didn't buy houses because the prices, the mortgage payments were higher and all that. But the problem was that the supply also dropped. So because when interest rates went up, if you sell your house, you've got to go out and buy a new one, right? So basically what's happened is that housing prices are still high because even though the demand for houses dropped, the supply also dropped, because people like me who are locked in a 3% mortgage, we're like, no, I don't want to sell the house that has a 3% mortgage. So what, I can go out and get a 7%? No, I'm not doing that. And then buy this and then have to go back into this market and buy another house. It's like divorcing your spouse and having to date again. If you think the dating pool is garbage, then you say, you know what, I think I'm gonna stay married to this person because the stuff out there is pretty terrible, right? So the same thing is true with buying a house. Like if we were to sell our house, suddenly we're single again, right? We can go pick our house that we want. That's good, but the problem is housing prices keep going up, 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 and also interest rates have gone up, up, up. So there is a little bit of concern in the housing market. Also, commercial real estate is just about to go flop in the toilet. That's a real concern. A lot of these buildings in the city, these office spaces in the city that companies were paying big money for, they're just not doing that anymore. And so effectively what's going to happen is that a lot of these commercial real estate companies that borrowed money to buy a lot of property in the cities, they're going to have to refinance that, and the banks won't refinance that. So you're going to see some bankruptcies, you're going to see some fire sales, you're going to see some drops in values in real estate in that area. So we're not out of the woods yet. In fact, we're not only are we not out of the woods, we're literally like just probably deeper in the woods than we've ever been. But there's nothing to fret. I think overall the good does outweigh the bad. Now someone's asking, Ken Tate's asking, in the prime class you discussed investing on margin and it's a good strategy. After reading the margin investing further, I see that it's a loan I have to pay back. Can you explain what the repayment process is like when you invest with margin? Yeah, when you invest with margin, basically what you're doing is they're loaning you money at a fair interest rate, and you're able to get leverage. And leverage is debt. And debt is not good. Debt is not bad. Debt is just powerful. So the power of debt allows you to buy more stock than you could have otherwise, which is good, because if the price of stock goes up, then you win. Hooray for you. Good for you. The problem with debt, though, is that you don't want to be too sloppy with it, because if things go bad, you get body slammed. Like there was a guy that ran a $20 billion fund. I forgot his name. He was a Korean guy, and he was seen as a financial genius because his family office, they'd grown their wealth from, a couple billion to $20 billion. But what was happening was he was taking extreme amounts of leverage in companies like Paramount and CBS and all that. And what happened was that when some of those stocks dropped, he got what they call margin calls. When the value of your assets drop, the bank shows up and says, you got two choices. You can either put up more cash so you can have more equity, which is basically more skin in the game, or you got to sell your asset at fire sale prices. That's why whenever you take on margin, whenever I do margin, I always have cash to the side in case my assets drop, and I have liquidity that can serve as my fire department. And I call it the fire department because literally, and it's crazy that money's called liquidity, because in my mind, I'm thinking we're in a crisis mode. There's a fire in my portfolio. These asset values have dropped. And what I need right now is I need time. Well, time is money. Time costs money. So if I want to hold on to that asset and wait until the prices come back up again, until the assets recover, then I got to buy me some time. Literally buy me some time. How do I buy that time? Well, I've got to put more money into the account to deal with the margin call. If I don't have any money to the side, then I have to go sell that stock right at the absolute worst time to sell, when I'm right there at a loss, right? So ultimately, that's kind of how investing works. It's like a funny little time thing. You know, a lot of times you may know something's going to happen, but you don't know when. Like, for example, I've always known Bitcoin was gonna. I still believe Bitcoin is going to do well. Once the regulation's done and the SEC gets done with Coinbase and all that, I think it's going to clear the path for Bitcoin to take off. I'd be shocked if BlackRock is investing heavily in a Bitcoin ETF. I'd be shocked if BlackRock is just doing something stupid because they have $9 trillion in assets, and you don't get that much money by being dumb. So I just think that Bitcoin, and that's not the only factor. There's other variables that lead me to believe Bitcoin is a good investment. So, but do I know when it's going to happen? No, you don't. I don't. All right, so let's keep going. Mark Irving says, wouldn't it be more powernomics and B1 to send folks to your site instead of Amazon to get my book? Yeah, well, that's a good point, Mark. And actually my book is called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. You can get it on my site. The reason I listed on Amazon is because I didn't put the book out necessarily as a way to make money. We have to make money because we got to pay people and operate and all that. But we're building a university. We're building an institution. Institutions cost money. But really, I just wanted people to have an easy access to the book. So if you bought the book on Amazon, I'm not going to be mad at you. But if you wanted to buy it directly from us, yeah, our kids actually run the bookstore here in my house. I can show you shelves of books that they have in the other room. When I redid the basement, we've got shelves put in there, so all the books are down here, and they can ship you a copy. They can even ship you an autographed copy. So if you like a copy of my book, just go to boycewatkins.com, and it's right there. All right. So in fact, actually, let me tell Micah. I'm going to try to find some way where we can get some autograph versions in the bookstore in case you guys want me to actually sign the book for you. That's a good thought. All right. So, and by the way, I see some of you came in late. Yeah, if you want to get profit alerts, free Dr. Boyce profit alerts on stocks that I like, things like that, just text the word stock to 31996. So I'll let you guys do that real quick while I send this note to Micah on my team about making sure I put autograph books in the bookstore, because I don't know if we have any autograph copies available now, but I'll have her put them in the store. Okay, so yeah, so you can do that now. Text the word stock to 31996 if you haven't done it yet. My book. Okay, perfect. All right, so that'll be available soon. Give us about 3 or 4 days. It's the 4th of July, so I'm not gonna ask her to do stuff on the 4th. All right, let's see here. Novatech. Gary asks, is Novatech a good investment? I think Novatech's a pharmaceutical company. I don't have an issue with it. I think that the key thing, though, is that if you invest in a pharmaceutical company, just understand pharmaceutical companies have a lot of what is called jump risk. So those stocks, if they're dependent on some sort of clinical trial result or something like that, those stocks can collapse on you really fast, or they can grow really fast. So make sure you diversify. Just be really careful, because some of them can't make money. Like we had that company Madrigal Pharmaceuticals in the Prime program that literally 10x in one weekend, where literally the stock price went from like $40 to $250. And a lot of you made a lot of money because that was one that we talked about that week. And a lot of you invested in it, I know for a fact. And even I invested in it because I liked what I saw. So there are opportunities out there. Pharmaceutical companies can be good that way, but don't think that happens on a regular basis, because it doesn't. And those of you that are in the Prime program, I will reach out to you very soon with some more money makers in terms of stocks that I think you can sell options on and generate income from. If you're not in the Prime program yet, one way you can get in there, go to boycewatkins.com, look for a training I have called How to Make Money Without Working. And that's where I explain what we're doing in the Prime program. And you can decide if you want to join us or not. All right. So Natasha, happy belated birthday. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. Will the Prime class eventually have a lifetime access option? We don't have that in store yet, but we can look into that. That's not a bad idea. In fact, maybe I'll talk to the team about that. Thank you for the suggestion. Michael Watkins, what do you think about putting a stop loss on my stocks? A stop loss. Okay, so some sort of order that will stop your losses in case the price goes down. If you're talking about companies like Apple and Microsoft, which are the examples you put in here, Michael, I don't know. I think Apple and Microsoft are such beautiful companies that, I don't know. I kind of feel like those are generational assets. Those, assets you just buy consistently over the course of your life and you just leave them there. And remember what rich people do. Rich people do buy, borrow, and die. So wealthy people, they buy their assets and they don't really sell a lot of stuff. They just hold it. And then if they want money, they just borrow against the assets that they have. And then they can put those assets in a trust, pass them to their children, and then get an adjusted tax basis where they don't have to pay taxes on those assets. And that keeps the IRS out of your pockets. So you may want to look at something like that. But I think a stop loss is definitely something that you may have in place if you want to lock your profits in. Like if your stock goes way up and you're worried about losing the gains you have, you can either do a stop loss or you can just buy a put on the stock, either one. What percentages should I consider when placing a stop loss, 20 or 30%, or let it ride? I don't know. It's a personal decision. I go for more like 10%, that kind of thing. But it depends on really what your gain is, how much it's run. So like if you have something like NVIDIA, and NVIDIA just went ballistic and so much money was made from NVIDIA in a very short period of time, I think that's a gain that I would feel more determined to protect. I feel like NVIDIA, that stock just I think it doubled in the last 6 months or something. So with something like that, I actually started selling some NVIDIA because I didn't want too much of my portfolio to be in one place anyway. Brett Garrett, under the section of things that you are buying, the stocks, are these stocks to hold or stock options? Okay, so so if you log into the blackbusinessschool.com, you'll find what Dr. Boyce is buying. Those are stocks that I'm buying right now this week. Or you'll find in the Prime program, you find Dr. Boyce Moneymakers. Those are stocks that I'm not using as long-term investments. Those are stocks that I use for income. I generate income by selling the options on those stocks. The money makers tend to be more volatile, riskier assets because those generate the highest income. So for example, C3.ai, that's one that I've held for a long time, not because I think the company is a great company, but because the company generates good money from the stock options, right? But then there's some companies that I like to hold just as long-term investments. So if you're not sure about these sorts of things, just go to my website, go to boycewatkins.com, and you can find some of that stuff there that you may want to look at. Again, if you're interested in the Prime program, just look at that training on boycewatkins.com called How to Make Money Without Working. LaShawn Fullerton, when signing up for Robinhood, why do they ask for your social security number and employer name and occupation? Why do they ask that? Well, I know that there's various laws. I'm not familiar with every law about securities trading, but basically in order to prevent things like money laundering and stuff like that, they pretty much need to know who the heck you are. They're not going to let you in the banking system just transact large amounts of money without them having some sort of fix on you. And that's one of the legality issues with crypto. Crypto is designed to allow for all these anonymous transactions, but that's not going to last that long because they want to catch the criminals and they don't want them doing all their transactions in Bitcoin where we don't know who's who and who's what. Also, I saw this thing. Did anybody see this? I put this on my Instagram. My Instagram is The Real Boyce Watkins. Feel free to follow me there. I put up this post of Justin Bieber where he bought this NFT for like 1.3 million. Anybody else see that? It was those stupid ugly apes, and he bought one of those stupid ugly apes for 1.3 million, and they said now this NFT is worth about 59,000. And the thing about the NFT market that's interesting to me, and again, I don't know, maybe NFTs are going to come back, but from the very beginning, when I saw the froth of NFT investing, when I saw how highly valued some of these very mediocre images were, it immediately said money laundering to me. It immediately said money laundering. Because look, if I'm trying to buy like a bucket of cocaine from you and I can't do it as a regular transaction with regular receipts, I know Whitney Houston talked about receipts, but you don't, if you ever become a dope dealer, don't ask for receipts. What I might do is I might say, okay, you're an artist. Let me buy one of your paintings and and I want you to draw on a piece of paper and I'm going to buy that from you for $100,000. And so you give me the painting and you slide some dope in with the painting. And next thing you know, we've done business and it's all legal. Right. So I think NFTs were money laundering. I think that these and also I think the music industry basically used the power of celebrity to get regular people to pump their money into this stuff. Like, one thing that you have to understand is that there was a lot of financial fraud that occurred and legalized fraud that occurred during the 2020 and 2021 time period where so much money was being made. Everybody was caught up in the euphoria. People were buying anything. They had so many crappy cryptos. You can call them craptos. They had so many cryptos that they released. At that time, it was ridiculous. I think over 12,100 cryptos have been destroyed or disappeared or delisted because they were basically garbage. And it was really a smart person who said, let's create a white paper and put out a crypto and build up hype and get everybody to think that this is the next big thing and get a celebrity to endorse it, because celebrities aren't that smart. They're going to take money from anybody and endorse anything. It's funny. I think they said only Taylor Swift and her team. I don't know if it's her or her team or what. I have no idea. But her team, they were one of the few who did not sign on to a deal with Sam Bankman-Fried, because Sam Bankman-Fried was throwing money everywhere. Shaquille O'Neal, now Tom Brady, a lot of people are caught in these lawsuits because they were using the power of their celebrity to get people to buy things, because people tend to follow celebrities. And so now you're kind of seeing that mess being cleaned up. Once the mess gets cleaned up and the grownups move back into the industry, you're going to really see some opportunities with things like Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is, from what I can see, one of the more legit cryptos that has a committed base of people that are going to make sure Bitcoin is, functional and useful and operational. I think the bigger question, though, is, right now, why do people buy Bitcoin? Why do they buy crypto? And is it a security? And they use these different measuring sticks as to whether or not something's a security. I think that people buy crypto because they're looking to speculate on the price going up. I don't think they buy crypto because they're looking to use it as money. I don't know how easy it is to use Bitcoin to buy loaves of bread at the grocery store. So I think that that's going to be a sticking point. But I really think that Bitcoin is going to kind of be the last one left standing. In a way, I almost visualize it like, those drug cartels where you'll have some of the drug cartels that are working with the CIA or whatever, and they'll go and snitch on their adversaries, so that the CIA or the FBI or the drug or the DEA can go do a big raid, and they'll go raid your enemy and kill off all the other cartels, and you're the last one standing, so you're able to make all this money without any police scrutiny. I feel like Bitcoin is kind of like that. Bitcoin is the most legit cryptocurrency out there, and once all the other crap is cleared out, Bitcoin, I think, it's just going to start flying through the roof. But anyway, maybe I'm wrong. We'll see. Let's see. Natasha says, hey, Dr. Boyce, did you recommend the Boyle stock as a long-term investment, or was it intended for selling options? Boyle was just good for selling options. I did not see Boyle as a good long-term investment. And also, the oil industry is so strange. I divested out of Boyle, but Boyle was one that paid good options money. Boyle also was one of those stocks that reminds you of why you want to have put options when you're selling those calls, because Boyle was super volatile and it would keep you up at night. So if you get engaged in that kind of movement, you really want to have your puts. You really want to buy your insurance. Don't be greedy. The two emotions you want to avoid as an investor are fear and greed. Fear will cause you to stay out of the game and miss opportunities. Greed will cause you to get too deep in the game and get yourself killed financially, right? So don't get greedy. Don't be fearful. Just be consistent, and then you're going to win. All right. So Ronnie, do you still think ChargePoint is a good play for options? ChargePoint's okay. It's not my favorite, but ChargePoint is not bad. Yeah, I did buy. Okay, you said you were buying put 6 months out as insurance in case the price drops. Yeah, so I did, and I did use ChargePoint for a while. I moved towards some other companies that I thought were just better moves in terms of what I was seeking to do. But ChargePoint was a stock that I kind of hung out with for a while, but it's not in my portfolio right now. I made my money from, I think the prices went up and my shares got called, and I just moved my money into something else. But ChargePoint is not terrible. I wouldn't be mad at you if you were still involved with that stock. All right, so let's see here. All right, so let me go ahead, and I'm gonna look inside the Zoom And you want to text, if you want to get the profit alert sent to you, just text the word stock to 31996. Text stock to 31996. And I'm gonna look in the Q&A section and answer a few of your questions, and then we can bounce out for today. It's the 4th of July, so we got barbecues and stuff to go to, I'm sure. Maurice says, hey, Dr. Watkins, can you take a look at BNGO, Biogenomics Incorporated? Okay, all right. So let me hop in and take a look real quick. Let me see what we got. BNGO. BINGO. That's what it makes me think about. BINGO. BNGO was his name. All right. So anyway, let me see. BNGO. Would I buy BNGO? What that's all I'll say is I won't tell you what to do. I'll just tell you would I buy it or not. Or what I think about this stock. Okay, so Biogenomics, okay, it's a very low price stock. It's a very risky stock. It looks like a pharmaceutical company. It has a very low market cap of 200 million, which is tiny. The analysts like the stock. If you buy this, you're kind of gambling a little bit. Like this, there's a chance maybe the stock could do well. I wouldn't be mad at you if you bought it. In fact, I'll buy 100 shares with you just to show you support. And so if this stock, because it looks to me like this stock has some kind of upside potential to it, that there's some analysts that believe in the stock. And so, yeah, I like it actually, but not as something that like I'm not going to retire off this money, but I did just buy some shares and I bought it right in front of you guys because I want you to see how easy it is to buy stock. I don't want you to think of it as something that has to be some long drawn out, dreadful process. I want you to get in the habit, with your spare change, wherever your income level is, get in the habit of buying shares of stock the same way you might buy fast food or whatever. If you buy fast food, maybe you don't, but you know what I mean? Just, okay, I got an extra $30. Let me buy $30 worth of stock. Or I've got an extra, maybe some of you are rich. You have an extra $300 or $3,000. Just take that money, buy some stock with it and just put it to the side. And if you get in the habit of accumulating, then what's going to happen is you're going to see your wealth go up slowly because of that. Hello, have you used AI in your trading and investing? Can you please give a demo? No, I have not used AI in trading and investing yet. I don't know about those AI tools. I've used it in content creation, stuff like that. There's a lot of tools for that, but I don't know a lot about the AI investing tools yet. And I'm sure they're going to be quite extraordinary. So I don't know. Let me research that a little bit. Let's see here. Errol says, is it the best practice to set up an LLC just to sell options to lower tax liability? I would encourage you to talk to your accountant about that and see what your accountant says. If you don't have one, you can look, find they're all over the internet. Yeah, because that's more specific. I mean, because the other thing too is when you set up the investment account, there's more information you have to provide if you run the account as an LLC, and some companies won't make it easy for you to do that. Like Robinhood doesn't make it easy for you to set up as an LLC. But then there are some that do. Okay. Let's see here. Can I have a text code I can use here in the UK? I thought it worked in the UK, but you know what? I don't know if it does. I got to ask my team about that. So if you live out of the country, I apologize. And how dare I do that? Because I'm gonna tell you what, the people in Black London, y'all love me and I love y'all, man. I'm telling you. And so I'm gonna look into this. So I don't have any information on that yet, but I'm gonna find out. And you can ask me in class next time. I'm gonna actually write that down. Because I thought the code just worked anywhere. And by the way, the code is 31996. If you text stock to 31996, that's how you get the profit alert sent to you, and it's free. And it's a great way for us to stay connected and stuff like that. Let's see here. Would you buy UPS? Not only would I buy UPS, Norman, but I did. So yes, I absolutely would buy UPS. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish our discussion by going back to that original question we started off with. How to become a millionaire. Okay. Because people act like it's so elusive and it's all about luck and everything. And I guess it is, maybe it is, because, if you don't know what's going on, then it may seem, challenging and difficult. And I understand that. So what I'm going to do is lay out some characteristics. I'm going to refine that list. Like I didn't like that list. I was sharing that article with you guys and I only kind of glanced at it. But I think that a better way to kind of approach that topic would be to kind of give you some stuff that I've seen based on research and just financial habits. So I did a training called How to Turn Your Child into a Millionaire. So when I think about what it means to become a millionaire, I'm going to think about from birth, and I'm talking about any kid in this country, no matter how poor they're born. They could be born in an orphanage, whatever. Like you can actually do this if you apply these basic rules. But it's easier if you have people that help you, right? Because when you are born and you're not financially conscious, like that rap song, "A child is born with no state of mind, blind to the ways of mankind," right? So children are born without any form of consciousness about anything. They don't know anything about their environment, whether they're born rich or poor, what money means or looks like. They don't know any of these things. They don't figure these things out until probably 20 years later. So you think about this, you got a whole 20 years of unconscious existence that can get wasted. And that right there is where the biggest wealth opportunity gets killed. That's where you've thrown away your chance. The kid was playing with Tonka toys and stuff the whole 20 years and thinking about their favorite rapper or whatever, when really there could have been wealth growing that entire time. In fact, if a person were if you look at the $5 a day investing plan, which I will send you, once you just text the word stock to 31996, I'll send you the $5 a day investing plan. Text stock to 31996. You'll find that after 20 years of investing $5 a day for that child, they've got $100,000 after 20 years, approximately somewhere around $100,000 liquid. So think about this. When they talk about making money while you sleep, like literally when you're asleep, you're unconscious. A child is not economically conscious. So really the one big wealth hack that gets every kid on this planet out of poverty, that has good parents anyway, is that $5 a day being invested for that child for that first 20 years while they're unconscious. That's literally them making money while they're asleep, right? So you've laid the bed out for them. At that point, they can do kind of whatever they want. So what I would say is when it comes to kids, we have what we call in the Black Business School, we call it the KID model. The KID model stands for knowledge, investment, discipline. Knowledge means that every child in our community, in the B1 community, should know how to start a business by the age of 12. They should also understand how to invest in the stock market, how to buy real estate, or at the very least, that real estate ownership is better than renting. And so that's the knowledge piece, because a lot of people don't build wealth because they don't know where money is, how to get it, and none of these things. So if you give them knowledge, they're already light years ahead of the rest of the world. They understand the system, how it works, where the money's at, and then that's going to spin into things like tax management or going into the right career or whatever, right? Investment, the I, means that once you get the knowledge, somebody has to give you the tools. And the biggest tool in a capitalist society is money. That's the tool that allows you to get things done. That's the weapon. That's the shield. That's everything. Money is the tool that ends up moving things around and making things happen. So that's where the $5 a day investing plan comes in. Again, text the word stock to 31996. I will send you the $5 investing plan tomorrow, the second day after you sign up. But then remember, though, $5 a day is the bare minimum. I set it low so that people wouldn't give me any excuses, because a lot of wealth building comes from confidence and just believing that you can actually do it. If you don't believe you can accomplish something, you're not even going to try. So a lot of people don't even try because they've been convinced that it's impossible. So to make it easy, I said, well, you can afford $5 a day, right? And I've told you all that story, because $5 a day is less than it costs to buy a McDonald's value meal. It's less than what it costs to buy Popeye's chicken. And I know for a fact that Black people can afford McDonald's and Popeyes. We know these things. So really, if you did $10 or $20 a day, then in 20 years, your child doesn't have $100,000. They have $200,000, $300,000, or $400,000. So that right there puts them on a massive trajectory. So visualize what this looks like. You've got a 20-year-old who understands all different kinds of things about wealth and economics. If you give them money, they know exactly what to do with it, and they've got money to actually work with. When I finished my undergrad in finance, I was the #1 finance student on the entire campus. I beat all the white kids. I was the Wall Street Journal outstanding graduating senior in finance. And I just done everything I could do academically. I had the highest grade point average and a triple major and 2 bachelor's degrees in 4 years. I could have got three bachelor's degrees in 4 years. That's how insane I was about academics. But I didn't have any money. I didn't have any money. I couldn't get to the point where I was solving rich people problems because I was too busy dealing with poor people problems. Like, how do I pay my rent? How do I get another car? How to get my car fixed? How do I get a ride? How do I, manage this job at Arby's? Right. So if I'd had parents that understood the things that you understand, then I would have had a couple $100,000 in the bank, and I could have saved, a decade of my life of struggle and been making moves at an early age. Okay. And then the last piece is of the KID model is discipline. Once you get the knowledge and once you get the resources, you have to have the discipline. So this is where the marshmallow experiment comes into play. This is where understanding delayed gratification versus instant gratification comes into play. This is where even things like self-esteem comes into play. Because if a child has adequate self-esteem, they're not going to feel the need to flex and show off their money. They're not going to feel the need to spend their money on Birkin bags. Your son's not going to go and blow all his money on some stupid girl that doesn't even like him. He's going to, so all these things in terms of mindset are extremely important. So you've got the knowledge, you've got the wealth, and you've got the mindset, and that kid is typically going to be in a position to be very, very wealthy and have a very good chance of becoming a millionaire. And so so another couple pieces I might throw in there are millionaires tend to be people that know how to make money without reference to time. There's poor man's math and there's rich man's math. So poor man's math is if I work 40 hours a week at $40 an hour, I make $1,600 a week. That's poor man or working man's math. Let's call it working man's math. I don't want to stigmatize anybody because we all grew up. A lot of us grew up with this kind of math. So if I want to make more money, I have to work more hours or I have to get more money per hour or both, right? That's the math. Rich man's math is not, it doesn't have, the time is nowhere in the equation. I'm not thinking, okay, 40 hours a week at $40 an hour. I'm thinking something like if I sell 40 units of a product at $40 a pop, I can make $1,600. That's beautiful because now you're operating on a higher vibrational frequency. It gets almost metaphysical. It's metaphysical mathematics because literally because I taught math and I've seen high level math, I visualize multiple dimensions. And so with this, you're going to a higher dimension. You're going to a dimensionality where time is no longer a barrier anymore. Do you follow what I'm saying? I hope I'm not sounding too crazy or weird or complicated. I want to make sure if I over explain it's because I don't want it to sound like I'm some stupid professor who's like trying to impress people with long words. But I don't want you to also be shy away from the more complex ideas. I will help you understand those things. So basically, when you're in a new dimension where time doesn't matter anymore, your room for growth, it becomes explosive. And what does that mean? Well, for example, that lady Super Scent who sells makeup that she white labeled from China, she does a sale every year, I think, where she makes $1 million in 30 minutes. So she literally makes her money with very little reference to time. She didn't make her money because of how many hours she worked or how many years she's been on the job. She made her money because of how many consumers could see the product quickly on her, 2 million Instagram followers or whatever, right? So effectively, rich people tend to get into that space where that's where you're able to make money through delegation, letting other people use their time and do the work, or you're making money through systems and technology, right? Where you've got a computer program that you write that or whatever it is that you do, something that you do on a computer that allows you to make a lot of money very, very quickly without reference time, or you're asleep. You're literally asleep. You go to sleep and you've got $2,000 in the account. You wake up and you've got $5,000 in the account. This is real. This happens. There are people that live this way, right? So the key thing though is you have to be trained on these things, and the earlier you get trained on this, the better. So like whenever I hear our kids talking about getting a job, I don't interfere directly because not everybody thinks like me, and I'm their bonus father. They have a father, and they have. And we work together and raise these kids, and he's a great guy, and they have a mother and they have other influences, right? But so sometimes the job talk will come up, and after they finish talking about careers and jobs, I just kind of say, well, just in case you want to know, you can make a lot of money without working. You don't actually have to go to a job if you don't want to. So if you ever want to know that, like, just come talk to me, and or if you do that particular skill. If you learn how to be an entrepreneur and you have that skill, then you'll make a whole lot more money than you'll make from that skill alone. That might be something as simple as doing hair. If you do hair and you know how to be an entrepreneur that does hair, you're going to make a whole lot more money than a person that works in somebody's shop, right? So, but just being an entrepreneur doesn't mean that you don't have financial risk that comes with that. There are challenges with being the business owner or whatever, but still there's more opportunity if you understand that capacity for scale. Right. So that's what wealthy people tend to have. I notice is they know how to generate money without it being constrained by how hard they work, how many hours they worked, how long they went to school, things like that. They understand that a lot of money can be made. Sometimes you can make a lot more money just by having the right relationships or getting trained and mentored by the right person. Again, so I think that if you want to make more money, find somebody that is doing what you're doing. And if they charge money for something, a training, a coaching program or something, don't be afraid to make that investment. Most of the people that are really doing well in that space are people I know who've made those investments. So don't be scared to do that. Just be careful though. I mean, because some of the people will overcharge you and it becomes kind of terrible. But when I really want to learn how to do something, I will either hire somebody to do it for me, or I will hire somebody to teach me how to do it the right way. Even when I wanted to learn how to fly airplanes, I don't mind paying my instructor to spend time with me and to fly around with me so I can get good at it, so I can just ask him a million questions without me trying to figure everything out on my own or doing it in a way that's going to be unsafe for me and my wife. Right. So look around you. There are people that have the solution to the thing you're trying to do. But also more importantly, I want you to start sort of training your mind to understand that you don't have to be stuck in any kind of economic trap. A lot of Americans are going to be stuck in that trap. It's just like a lot of Americans are going to die from fast food. Millions of people are going to get cancer and die. Cancer, the four horsemen of death are cancer, heart disease, Alzheimer's, and diabetes. Millions of people will always get those four things in their lives, and a lot of it's going to come from the processed food. But does that mean that you have to eat processed food? Yes or no? What do you think? I mean, do you think that means that it's inevitable that you're just doomed to die from the processed food? Or do you actually have a choice? Of course you got a choice. Of course you got a choice. But it's going to be a difficult choice because a lot of people aren't going to go with you. When you're the one vegan, like you're my friend Juiced Up Reese, I see that. Every time I see Juiced Up Reese, I get excited. I love what she does. She sells these juices and she's into health and everything. And there's not a lot of Juiced Up Reese's out there. She's rare. That's why I remember her and I love her so much. So ultimately, the person who's able to kind of break away from the systems does feel like an oddball, but it doesn't mean you can't do it. The biggest barrier, the biggest obstacle to you breaking away from systematic death mechanisms, things that give you physical or financial death, is just peer pressure. And peer pressure is heavy. Peer pressure is big. It comes in the form of generational curses that we follow just because grandma did it and daddy did it. We do what everybody else is doing, or they'll think we're weird. Or it comes in the form of, I can remember as a black man being around other black men who would drink and smoke weed and sit around and do whatever. And I was like, I don't want to do those things because those things are going to kill you and turn you into an alcoholic. And I got made fun of, and I had to have the self-esteem to say, well, screw you. I don't care. You can make fun of me, but you'll be dead. I'll be making fun of you when you're in the casket. I'm kidding. I wouldn't do that, but still, like you had to have confidence to do that, right? And so I would say to you that at the very least, I'm saying this and I'm gonna be done. A couple things you can do is, one, I think you should develop the courage to be different, and also help your children develop that too. Two, put them in a space where it's not so hard to be different, right? Like if I want to be healthier, I got to be around healthy people. And then being different isn't different anymore, right? I can follow the crowd and I'm still going to be in a better place, but I have to be very conscious about the crowds that I select. Right? So same thing is true of being economically healthy. If my crowd is broke people that make bad economic choices, well, then it's going to be harder for me to make the right decision, because every time I make the right decision, I'm going to be sort of swimming upstream. I'm going to be going against the wind. What else in addition to the confidence piece? I think there is some hard work that is required. Definitely a lot of planning. And the thing about wealth is that wealth is very hard to create in a short period of time. It's like trying to grow a sycamore tree in a week. It's almost impossible. But what wealth also gives you the opportunity to understand is that it's very easy to create if you give yourself plenty of time. Like I just showed you on that chart earlier, how a person who blindly bought some Bitcoin in 2018 and just sat on it for 5 years quadrupled their investment. It's 4x in 5 years. 4x, 4 times, right? So that's wealth that's created just by sitting there and waiting. So with your kids, they don't have 4 or 5 years, they have 20 years. 20 years of living where they're going to be your grandkids, 20 years where they're not even thinking about money. They start thinking about money when they're about 20 and they want to go out on a date or whatever. Well, that 20 years, that money needs to be getting to work. You prepare them mentally to receive the inheritance, but you're letting the inheritance grow. So that when they hit the age of 20, they're off to the races. They're ready to go out here, kick butt, and take names. They can operate on a higher level. They can live their best life. They can sleep in and do the things they love every day, as opposed to having to go to work. That's a beautiful gift to give your child. You're literally giving them the gift of life, because they get a chance to actually truly live instead of spending the majority of their time at work or constantly stressed out or worried about money or just lost. I mean, it's terrible. Think about this. You got this thing that's so important for you, money, and you don't understand the first thing about how to get it the right way. So you end up doing whatever you could do to figure it out because somebody never took the time to explain certain things to you. Don't do that to your kids. Don't do that to your grandchildren, right? So that's it. And bring them to me. Bring them to class or something. Let them listen to me. And I think that after listening to me for a good 5 or 10 years, they're gonna know something. I promise you. Okay. So anyway, that's it, guys. We're done for today. It's great to see you. Don't forget, next week we're doing Stock Market Tuesdays again. And also, if you want to get the profit alerts and the stocks and everything else sent to you, just text the word stock to 31996. Text stock to 31996. Also, I'll be in Seattle this week, July 8th. So if you want to fly in or you live nearby, feel free to come by. You can go to boycewatkins.com. The information about Seattle is there. I'm going to do a 4-hour deep dive training on my book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. And also, I hope that all of you will consider coming to the All Black National Convention. I know Juiced Up Reese. I met Juiced Up Reese at the convention, and she's been our homegirl ever since. And there's all kinds of other great people like that. Good energy, just very positive, very thought-provoking. Just anything you want to do that's pro-Black and positive. Like, the convention is great for that. So you can go to allblacknationalconvention.com. It's going to be October 20th in Atlanta at the Marriott Marquis Hotel. And then someone asked, do I do one-on-one trainings? Very rarely. But if you email, if you're interested in trying to do something like that, you can email manager at boycewatkins.com. And when I do one, I can let you know. It's not cheap. It's like $1,000 an hour now, because my time, I just so much stuff going on. But if you want to do that, and I think it's worthwhile if you're really trying to do something that involves a significant move in your life, it's, and I have to set it at that rate though, because I can't do a lot of them. So if that's something you want to do, feel free to email manager at boycewatkins.com. How much does it cost in Seattle? I do not know what the cost is. I don't know the group that's actually running the event. I know they invited me out, so I'm going to go out there and do the training. If you go to boycewatkins.com, all that information is there at that link. Just scroll down till you find Seattle, and it'll be right there. All right. So have a good day, everybody.